is the KUSI News at 10.
And good evening. I'm Tom Jordan.
I'm Sasha Fu. Thanks so much for joining us this evening.
For the first time in 2 weeks, a high-profile broadcast professional will sleep in a warm bed with a roof over his head. For the last 14 nights, he slept on the streets in an effort to bring attention to San Diego's growing homeless problem. KUSI's John Soderman is here now with the story. John?
Well, Tom, the reality is tonight, many others are following his lead.
On a chilly October evening, they prepare to bed down for the night, but with a very specific purpose in mind: to get a feel for what it's like to be homeless in San Diego, a problem that's getting more and more in our faces. But they're also here for another reason: to raise money for the Trinity House, a transitional living facility that reaches out specifically to homeless women and children. The tears rolled down Erica Teal's face as she recalled the night the facility opened up its arms to her.
And I didn't have nowhere to go. And by me not knowing how to survive or be out on the street, I hyperventilated. I don't want to laugh, but I hyperventilated so bad that they made room for me.
Like a panic attack?
Yes. They made room for me that night.
But this Saturday night sleep out was really kicked off about 2 weeks ago by a local radio personality who's been sleeping outside for the last 2 weeks.
This is Tayari Howard.
Tayari Howard is a radio personality on San Diego's smooth jazz station KIFM. The last 2 weeks, he went straight from his late-night radio shift to a tent he set up at Liberty Station. It was all part of his effort to call attention to the problem of homelessness and to also raise money for this problem that has made him very angry, especially when it comes to homeless veterans and homeless women and children.
I'm a Vietnam veteran, so my first problem is trying to understand how anyone who has served the country admirably is having this kind of a problem and is sleeping out. It also makes me question city government, state government, and American government. Secondly, I cannot fathom a mother and a child sleeping out in America's finest city.
Monica Tenna and her young son Malik were homeless for 3 weeks before Trinity House took them in from the cold.
Now my son and I don't have to sleep on the street no more.
Wow.
And
Let me ask, Malik, are you glad you don't have to sleep in the car anymore?
And speaking of homeless kids, hundreds hit the streets of Liberty Station earlier in the day to help raise money to fight the problem of children living on the streets.
There's 2,000 kids that are homeless under 18 years old. There's another 3,000 that are homeless 18 to 24 with no shelter.
And by the way, KUSI was a sponsor of that walk to fight youth homelessness. In the newsroom, John Soderman, KUSI News.